Prince Rainier III of Monaco and Hollywood actress Grace Kelly were the first royal couple to have their wedding broadcast on television. You may remember Prince Harry and Prince William's weddings, but let's go back in time to the first royal wedding that was broadcast. The event captured the interest of 1,800 journalists, and 30 million Europeans watched the black and white broadcast from 9 different nations. However, a complicated secret world was concealed by the wedding, which is just now being revealed, despite how enthralling it was. Grace Kelly gave up her Hollywood money when she wed Prince Rainier. Their marriage was the stuff of fairy tales, but she paid a heavy price for her choice, and her last days were anything but spectacular. Her spouse is now admitting the reality. From her childhood and family forward, we can piece together her life's events leading up to her royal marriage and the truth behind them. Grace came from an affluent household and was born on November 12, 1929 in Philadelphia. Margaret Catherine Major was the first female coach at the University of Pennsylvania, and her father, John Brendan Jack Kelly, was a 3-time Olympic gold champion in rowing and a prosperous brick company. Being the third child in her family, Grace had 3 siblings. Grace had a fortunate upbringing, but that didn't mean everything was peaches and cream. Grace always felt that she had to prove herself to her father, who had a preference for her elder sister Peggy. Her mom was quite authoritarian and used physical punishment often. Grace drew on her difficult childhood experiences when she became a mother. At an early age, Grace started performing. She began performing professionally at the tender age of 12 and carried that momentum throughout her senior year of high school. She and her sisters and mother were also models. Her poor math results resulted in her being rejected from Bennington College when the time came for her to attend college. Grace followed her heart and became an actress, even though her father was against it. She was hell-bent on making it big in the performing industry despite her father's disapproval. Grace Kelly's audition at New York's American Academy of Dramatic Arts was the first step on her path to fame. Despite the school's full enrollment, she got admitted thanks to her uncle's influence when she performed a scene from his play to captivate the audience. Grace lived the high life at Manhattan's exclusive Barbizon Hotel for Women, where she studied acting and supported herself as a model. Grace took her trade seriously and used a tape recorder to rehearse her speeches. Thanks to her hard work, she was able to make her Broadway debut in Strindberg's The Father with Raymond Massey. Her graduation performance as Tracy Lord in The Philadelphia Story captivated audiences at the tender age of 19. Producers for television quickly took notice of her abilities. In the television version of a Sinclair Lewis book, she portrayed Bethlehem Meriday. She went on to make appearances on approximately 60 live TV programs after that. She got her big break in the film industry because of this exposure. 14 Hours was Grace's debut film role, yet it didn't do anything to further her career. But Gary Cooper couldn't help but notice her on sight. She was unlike any actress he'd seen before, and he thought she was lovely. Grace and Cooper landed their first big roles in High Noon, thanks to this fortuitous meeting. Her humble beginnings as an actress led to her meteoric climb to stardom and the greatest possibilities in Hollywood. A combination of perseverance, focus, and serendipity paved her way. When John Ford, the filmmaker, watched her screen test in 1950, her rise to fame took a dramatic turn. She was so refined and beautiful, it stunned Ford. She took a plane to Hollywood in September 1952 for an audition, and she got a part and a 7-year contract. She agreed to live in New York at the renowned Manhattan House and take a leave of absence every other year to work in the theater, but the remuneration was negligible. After waiting 2 months, Kelly and the rest of the actors headed to Nairobi to begin shooting Mogambo. Gene Tierney, who had been placed opposite her, had to back out. Working with John Ford as the film's director, sharing the screen with Clark Gable, and seeing Africa were all appealing to Kelly. She was nominated for an Oscar and won a Golden Globe for her performance in the film. Subsequent to Mogambo, Kelly appeared in the television drama The Way of an Eagle, before securing a part in Alfred Hitchcock's, and later her mentor, Dial M for Murder. In dramatic moments, such as when her character fends off an assailant, he emphasized her attractiveness and acting chops. Both reviewers and moviegoers thought the film was fantastic. Thereafter, in January 1954, she shot The Bridges at Toko-ri, where she had a small but significant part as the wife of William Holden's role. Upon its January 1955 premiere, The New Yorker lauded Kelly for her self-assured performance and the connection she had with Holden. On the Waterfront starred Marlon Brando, but Kelly turned down the part. The film Rear Window starring Alfred Hitchcock was her first choice. Apparently, Kelly said that during shooting Dial M for Murder, Hitchcock often brought up their collaboration on Rear Window, indicating his desire to collaborate with her again. Kelly and Hitchcock became close while filming, despite the fact that they argued sometimes. In Rear Window, 1954, Grace Kelly co-starred with James Stewart as Lisa Fremont. Kelly played a strong, self-reliant professional woman for the first time in this role. Stewart portrayed a wheelchair-bound photographer, while Kelly's role brought an aura of refined elegance to the plot. Alfred Hitchcock used her attractiveness to his advantage in the film, particularly in kissing sequences and close-ups of her face. Variety lauded Kelly and Stewart's connection, which contributed to the film's popularity. The next year, Kelly appeared in The Country Girl, playing the part of Georgie Elgin, the drunk singer's wife. Compared to her other roles, this one was rather different. She vowed to quit MGM in her pursuit of this part, which she battled tooth and nail for. She received great praise for her portrayal, which landed her a Best Actress nomination at the Oscars. One of Kelly's professional high points was winning the Oscar, even though she was competing against Judy Garland, who was widely anticipated to take home the trophy for her role in A Star is Born. Kelly and Stuart Granger filmed Greenfire in Colombia in April 1954. Problems with the weather and the setting caused the production of this film to go off the rails. Working circumstances were difficult, which contributed to Kelly's negative impression of the event. In spite of all that, the film nonetheless managed to make a tidy profit. Following a string of consecutive shooting assignments, Kelly traveled to France for her last picture with Alfred Hitchcock, To Catch a Thief. In the film, she co-starred with Cary Grant, whom she grew to deeply love, and the two worked together harmoniously. Grant went on to say that among other great actresses, Kelly was his favorite of all time, even more so than Ingrid Bergman. There was going to be a royal beginning after all these incredible roles. Yes, her rise to royal status is the topic at hand. At the Cannes Film Festival in April 1955, Grace Kelly presided over the United States delegation. At the palace of Prince Rainier III of Monaco, she was invited to a picture shoot. Something clicked when the two finally met, despite the fact that their initial encounter was delayed. Kelly wasn't quite head over heels about the French actor Jean-Pierre Aumont, who she was seeing at the time. Kelly met Rainier, and then she went back to the US to film The Swan, in which she portrayed a princess. A blossoming relationship developed between her and Rainier when they began exchanging letters. On a subsequent trip to the United States, Rainier met Kelly's relatives. Just 3 days later, he asked Kelly to be his wife, and she accepted. Some in the media has already called it the wedding of the century. There was more to the wedding than meets the eye. After all those years, the truth finally came out. In order to go forward with the marriage, Kelly and her family had to give Rainier a dowry of $2 million. On April 19, 1956, they set the date for the religious ceremony. Although Kelly's cinematic career came to an end, the news of the engagement became a great sensation. Alfred Hitchcock even made light of the fact that he was relieved Kelly had finally found happiness. In honor of the special occasion, the Palace of Monaco was redecorated and given a fresh coat of paint. Kelly embarked on a journey to the French Riviera with her family, bridesmaids, and poodle aboard the ocean liner SS Constitution from New York on April 4, 1956. They accompanied themselves with 80 pieces of baggage, and hundreds of admirers flocked to watch them go. More than 20,000 spectators were in line to welcome the future princess as she touched down in Monaco. In the same year, MGM produced Kelly's last picture, High Society, a musical comedy adapted from the Philadelphia Story. In it, Kelly and Bing Crosby sang a classic duet of Cole Porter's True Love. Being sworn in as Princess Grace of Monaco put an end to Kelly's career in Hollywood. The once fairy tale life of Grace Kelly, who went from Hollywood actress to Princess Grace of Monaco, quickly took a dark turn. Grace and Rainier were married in a civil ceremony, as well as a religious ceremony to fulfill the formalities set down by both French law and the Roman Catholic Church. On April 18, 1956, in the royal chamber of the Palace of Monaco, the civil ceremony was performed. Europe was graced with the transmission of this 40-minute event. The religious event was held the day after. It took place at the Cathedral of St. Nicholas. It took 32 seamstresses 6 weeks to finish Grace's bridal gown, which was created by Helen Rose of MGM. Notable figures such as Conrad Hilton, Ava Gardner, and David Niven were among the invited guests. Roughly 30 million people tuned in to watch the wedding live on television. Following their wedding, Grace and Rainier departed aboard their boat for a honeymoon that lasted 7 weeks. Caroline, Albert, and Stephanie were the trifecta of blessings that came from their union. Grace was very serious about her new duty as Princess of Monaco. She established the charitable organization Amade Mondiale to promote the welfare of children globally. It is well known that Grace ceased performing following her marriage, although this was somewhat influenced by her husband's taste. Even Monaco's Prince Rainier prohibited her films. Grace broke with her previous plans to continue performing after her wedding in order to accommodate her husband's preferences, which was a major life shift for her. Grace had intermittent film and television roles in the 1960s and 1970s, including narrating the documentary The Children of Theatre Street. However, her possibilities were severely restricted since Prince Rainier was not in favor of her pursuing a career in acting. When it came to elevating the arts in Monaco, Grace was instrumental. A co-founder of the Princess Grace Foundation, she was an outspoken supporter of regional artists. Additionally, she advocated for the La Lèche League, a group that supports breastfeeding. Grace founded a garden club in honor of her passion for flowers. Not only is she still a style icon, but she was also on the International Best Dressed list. She had no idea that the romance from her fairy tale would become a nightmare for her. Still, individuals from all over the globe find inspiration in her graceful and classic style. Tragically, Princess Grace Kelly had a stroke on September 13, 1982, while traveling from their country residence to Monaco with her daughter Stephanie. Her Rover P6 went careening down a slope after she lost control of vehicle due to the stroke. Grace was rescued from the debris alive, although she was unconscious and badly hurt. She was 52 years old when she tragically died away the next day without ever regaining consciousness. St. Nicholas Cathedral in Monaco, where Grace Kelly had exchanged her wedding vows with Prince Rainier 26 years ago, was the site of a solemn memorial service. Members of European royal families and leaders from other countries were among the 400-plus worshippers. Princess Diana, Cary Grant, and Nancy Reagan were among the famous people who came to pay their respects. Many others who were unable to attend the funeral in person were able to say their goodbyes to the adored princess and actress via television coverage. The significant influence Grace had on people worldwide was highlighted by the broadcast, which reached over 100 million viewers. James Stewart, who played Grace Kelly, delivered a moving eulogy. Not only was she a princess and an actress, but he also spoke highly of the real warmth and generosity she gave to everyone she met. The profound sadness felt by everyone who knew and loved Grace was reflected in Stewart's remarks, which touched many. Grace Kelly's tragic death ushered in a new age, but her legacy of compassion, grace, and elegance will live on in the hearts of fans for years to come. Although Grace Kelly's life as a princess may seem idyllic to onlookers, the reality may have been much more difficult than imagined. Kelly, according to her friends and biographers, battled loneliness and the pressures of royal life. Judith Balaban Quine, Kelly's companion, claimed that being a princess required more deception than being on a film set. Joan Dale, Kelly's other companion, likened her ordeal to being a captive in a golden cell beyond the royal gates. According to Kelly's biographer Wendy Lee, who claimed her husband was unfaithful soon after they were married, the marriage was severely criticized. Kelly allegedly felt ashamed and miserable as a result of this. Rumors circulated after Kelly's death that she was contemplating a comeback to acting. Rearranged, a film she appeared in and narrated, was out 2 years before she passed away in 1977. Nevertheless, her spouse insisted that the picture never be released. Grace Kelly's financial situation was further illuminated in a documentary called Grace Kelly: The Missing Millions, which premiered in the UK on March 27, 2021. Everyone was taken aback by this. In order to tie the knot with Prince Rainier of Monaco, Kelly was required to provide a substantial dowry of $2 million, which is equivalent to around $20 million in today's currency. She juggled her acting career with her family's wealth to amass this sum. Kelly had only $10,000, equivalent to around $227,000 today, and her grandfather's dilapidated Irish home when she died in 1982 at the age of 52. Her public image as a rich princess is at odds with her unexpected financial predicament. According to the documentary, Grace Kelly may have had not one, not two, but 3 wills. Her fortune from brand partnerships, jewels, and presents she got as a working royal goes unrecognized in the American and Irish wills, but the video suggests that there may be a third, hidden will in the Grimaldi archives that does. Kelly had an Irish will that dealt with her assets, but there was only $10,000 in her U.S. name. This led Godfrey, a wealth expert featured in the documentary, and filmmaker Adam Warner to conclude that there must be a third will. They reasoned that her other assets, especially those bequeathed to her children, must be the subject of a will because of this. The third will was requested by Godfrey and Warner, but the palace informed them that it is not open to the public. Due to Prince Albert and his family's desire to keep its contents secret, the documentary was unable to get it. According to Godfrey, Kelly's third child should leave her money and property to her kids and the Princess Grace Foundation. The Monaco royal family is currently quite wealthy. Supposedly, Charlene Wittstock, Prince Albert's wife, has a net worth of over $150 million. The estimated 2019 net worth of Prince Albert was $1 billion. During the documentary's examination of Kelly's money, wealth advisor Gemma Godfrey noted the story's irony. The cost of her transformation into a princess was high, even after her Hollywood triumph. The truth was far different from the affluent fairy tale that many envision when they think of her rise from Hollywood star to princess. Kelly may have made around $1.5 million, or about $15 million in today's money, during her 5 years in Hollywood. Godfrey notes in the video that she didn't seem to have left any instructions about these profits in her will, if you believe Jay. According to Randy Taraborelli's book, Once Upon a Time Behind the Fairy Tale of Princess Grace and Prince Rainier, Kelly's first intention after marrying Prince Rainier was to still perform. However, Prince Rainier revealed a few days later that he and his wife had reached a retirement agreement. Kelly had to honor her husband's choice, even though she wanted to continue performing. When questioned about her acting future, Kelly said, "That decision will be made by the prince." And then there was that return that, alas, never materialized. After being married for 5 years, Kelly contemplated a comeback to Hollywood in the main part of Alfred Hitchcock's Marnie. However, she ultimately decided against the job because of the tensions between France and Monaco. According to Tony Lee Morale's Hitchcock and the Making of Marnie, Kelly may have felt compelled to remain in Monaco while her husband attended to diplomatic matters with France. Everyone from MGM's bottom line to Monaco's allure as a tax haven for the ultra-wealthy reaped the rewards of Kelly's celebrity. Her numerous Hollywood pictures would have continued to be beloved even if she hadn't become a princess. There will be physical ways that Kelly's family plans to honor her memory. Prince Albert, her son, purchased the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania house where she had spent her youth in 2016. He shelled out $754,000 for the 4,000-square-foot mansion that Kelly's dad had constructed in the 1920s. Over half a century had passed since the family had owned the old home. For use by the family and its foundations, Prince Albert restored it to its former condition so that everyone might enjoy it. Prince Albert said that the house was filled with the warmth and joy of a genuine family home. Despite the fact that Grace Kelly's life did not end the way everyone had hoped, her reputation as an exceptional actress and legendary personality lives on. What struck you the most about Grace Kelly's story? In your opinion, was her existence as a princess a magical enchanted forest, or rather a formidable test of her mettle that she triumphed over? If you like what you see, please subscribe and let us know.